Hey everybody, this is Keith from Let Me Try to Fix It 5000. I've got a side project I've got to take care of. A friend of mine has a Mercedes-Benz SLK 280. It's a 2006 model, and the brakes did not really sound that good on this thing. I drove it the other day, and I didn't feel like he'd be too safe driving it. So I'm gonna help him out. I got new pads, I got new brake discs. We're gonna swap them out. I'm gonna walk you through how to do that. First thing I'm going to do is start by disconnecting the battery. The front disc actually doesn't look that bad. It's not grooved up too bad. We're gonna take a look at these brakes. We'll pull the brake pads off and see how they look, and I've got a set in case we need them. On the back of the brakes, let's see if I can get over here, you can see this. There's a bolt right here, and one right here. We're gonna take those off, and that should make this whole caliper come off. These are the pads that came off. The inside pad, which is the one I'm pointing to with my thumb, it shows a lot more wear than the one that was on the outside. Just for comparison, this is the pad that came off. This is the pad that's going on, and you can see there's probably 3 times the amount of material for braking than there is on this one. This is eventually going to make the brakes to start to squeal, and we definitely don't want that. And we also want to be able to stop, and this is definitely going to be a way to be able to make the car stop. All that is just an old brake pad. All this is an old brake pad, and I am putting it in and using a wood clamp to drive the piston back into the caliper. Without doing this, the new pads won't fit. You can see I drove it back in. don't know if it's true, but I've always been told if you put a little bit of this grease on the back side of the pad, it will help with squealing. It'll help keep the pad from squealing. So I'm gonna brush some of that on there. Also put some grease on these tracks, and that's also just to help it smoothly go in and out. The torque on these two is between 18 and 20 foot-pounds. Do that right now. Pretty satisfied with that. I'm gonna put the wheel back on and we'll call this corner done. I'm gonna tighten the lug nuts to 90 foot-pounds. These wheels look like they've seen better days. Let's do this guy a favor and we'll clean them up a little bit. And that is the front wheel. Not that bad to do. 17 millimeter gets it off. A 12 millimeter is what's used to break the caliper loose. You'll need a clamp or something to get the piston pushed back inside of the caliper. Don't forget to add your grease. Check your disc while you're doing it. Make sure your disc isn't grooved or any damaged or anything like that. And don't forget to torque your bolts back down. I'm gonna do a time-lapse video for the other side of the car, then we'll move on to the rear and we'll bust the rear out real fast. On the passenger side of the car, this is the brake pad and there is a wire coming off of it. This right here was a brake pad wear indicator. and it is broke. I'm gonna see if I can try to make a repair to it just to limp him along until he can buy one. May throw a dash light telling him that it's time to change his pads if we don't do that. For that wear sensor, it takes a certain type of socket to remove it, and this is a E10, and it doesn't look like a Torx bit, it's like a reverse Torx bit. You can see it better on the, but it's an E10 that you'll need to remove it. You probably get by using a pair of pliers and twist it, but if you got the right tool, just as well use it. And that is the other end of the connector, and that's where the wire would come out that goes to the brake pad. It is removable. Try to see if I can do this with one hand. And that's it. And my wires are broke, and what I'm going to try doing is try to solder to it. Regardless if that works or not, I'm still going to let the owner know and tell him that he needs to have this replaced, and it wouldn't take but a few minutes to do it. If you can see what I've done, I've taken the connector and grinded down some of the plastic to reveal the two wires that go to the brake sensor. And I'm gonna get my soldering iron and try to solder that back together. So I'm gonna let him know that this needs to be replaced, but I think this will at least limp him along until he does get the part. We don't live really close to a Mercedes dealer, so this will have to suffice until we get the part. It is worth note to mention that one of these pads that you get is gonna have a hole in the top, and make sure you don't put that in the wrong side like I just did, and I had to take the wheel just back off the other side to swap out the pad. That hole is for that brake pad wear sensor. So just be aware of that when you are putting your pads on. Moving on to the rear, we're at the rear of the car now. I'm gonna take these off, we're gonna take a look at them. I don't imagine they'll be too much different than doing the front. Never done the back on a SLK, so this is a learning experience for both of us. So we'll take them off, we'll see what we're looking at, and we'll go ahead and get the pads changed. All right, on the back side of this, oddly enough, it's like a 5/8. I guess it's like a 16 millimeter, but I didn't have a 16 millimeter socket. Anyway, a 5/8 on the back side. It's a 5/8 on the back side, and that'll get the caliper off. So let me take it off real fast and we will investigate. These pads aren't too bad worn. You can see that there is a little bit of difference in how much material is there, but it's not a lot. I don't think I'm going to change these pads on the back and let him get some more life out of these. They don't look too bad. The disc itself doesn't look that bad either. I've got another disc here, but I'm not going to change it either. My friend that owns this is a car dealer, and I know he's trying to make money selling this car, and I don't think there's anything too bad with these on the back of the car, so we're not going to change them. I'm going to put them back on and we'll inspect the other side. Love coffee. So far, the front is done, and the pad on the driver's side and the rear looks fine. The disc itself looked fine. I'm going to look at the other side of the car. We'll see how it looks, and if it needs to be changed, we'll investigate that. I am over on the passenger side of the car on the rear, and they're slightly grooved. The disc. Let's see if I can do this. The disc is a little grooved. It's really not that bad. I think he's safe to ride on that. The pads also look pretty good. They're not too bad worn out. So I think we'll do him a favor and we won't change these, and he can take these back and get his money back and maybe save a little bit of money. Anyway, I'm pretty satisfied with that. We're gonna put this back together. So the Mercedes is back on the ground. I've got to reconnect the battery and get it out of the shop, and other than that, I'm calling this good. The only thing I did do was change the front brake pads, the front disc, the rear disc, and the rear pads all look good. So I'm gonna button this thing back up and get it out of the shop. So this is the SLK, and it is finished up, and I'm going to call the owner and tell him he can come pick it up, and he actually has some parts he can take back, which will save him quite a bit of money. Thanks for watching, and make sure you click that subscribe button. This is just one of the projects I've got. I've got a Lotus Esprit that I'm working on. I've got some other cars in the past that I'm uploading videos of right now. So please click that subscribe button and check out what I got. Thanks.